Hey guys, you guys are tuning in right now with Lady Tchozn and my big homie Tchozn. We have been talking for a minute and he has quite some things to say about the past, present, and future-wise when it comes to krump. So that's why I was like, let me take a minute to sit down with him and have him explain everything what's on his mind. So, Tchozn, introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up? My name is Tchozn, representing Tchozn fam, 730 fam, 7th Empire, KPMMs, and Desi Buck. What's good?
How did you get into krump?
Initially I started out dancing as a salsa dancer. When I was younger I did the break dancing and a little hip hop there and here and there, but it didn't really amount to anything. But later on I started salsa, and I've been salsa dancing for quite a bit of time, and I just felt that I was losing my grip with it in terms of what it does for me.
Right.
Because I was always teaching, I was performing for others. It wasn't mine anymore, I felt. And for me, someone who, Tchozn fam, we always like to excel for ourselves. I felt like I needed to find something that I can do for myself again.
But how big were you in salsa?
Well, let's say in 2004, I was world champion, international world champion, and then once I achieved that, then I was also instructor of the year. I pretty much reached, the heights of what a dancer would like to reach in terms of competing, let's say.
Because the thing about it is, krump is a dance that doesn't exist that long versus other dances, dance styles, and you went from salsa to krump. Why didn't you go from salsa to another dance genre? What is it about krump that really...
Yeah, that's a good question. For me, when I started, when I first saw krump, it was from a documentary called Rise.
Everybody knows
Everybody
that
knows
line.
Rise. If you're a krumper, you know Rise.
You know Rise.
And that just that whole way of expression was for me what I thought was what I was missing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now you are dancing under...
Now I'm dancing under Knucklehead, aka Maddman.
Because you have your own fam, you have your own name,
yeah.
but you also dance under Knucklehead.
Yeah.
Okay. How long has he been your big homie?
He's been my big homie almost 3 years, I would say. Yeah, it's just gone fast. I remember the first time I actually met him, we were in the Ukraine. But I was speaking with him for a little while before that. It's really funny because as a big homie, he was someone who really wanted to get to know you and wanted to see what you were about before actually putting you onto the fam.
Okay.
So I think I really valued that because sometimes fams, there's a lot of stuff that happens in fams that.
True, because you do have like a nice character as a person as well, and you come from a dance scene, whereas people are more closed. How did you make it from going to salsa to krump in that regard? Because it's a tough dance world. Dancing.
I think krump is I call it cutthroat. Krump is really cutthroat in the sense that there's a lot of beefing meaning a lot of clashes with other dancers and so forth. And I don't know, it was hard for me at the beginning. It was hard for me to understand how dancers who do the same dance can be so against each other, but not only on the dance floor, really just in general.
At it.
Just because of a dance, though. Like for me, whatever I did on the dance floor, when I come off the dance floor, that's it. I'm back to being my own self. I had so much trouble with people taking what happens on the dance floor out of the dance floor and it becoming personal.
Right.
Like I saw that all around. Yeah, so for me it was a really, really hard time, and I decided to just be who I am, stay who I am, and keep my beliefs, because I think that when you're in such a world,
Right.
and everybody around you is doing dirt, you want to kind of do dirt too. And I think there was a lot of self conflict.
Because meaning self-conflict, you've already been dancing in a salsa scene for such a long time. You came into krump. Could you tell people how old you are?
I'm 46. I was born in 1971.
So being 46 and going through that transaction, especially in krump, what does that mean to you? Like, what happened internally?
Well, I think as someone who was a little older, or maybe, I would say almost twice the age of some of the people that I was hanging around with, I think the maturity level was also very different. You know, I didn't start at 46. I started when I was, I think, let's say almost 10 years, so 35 I started. But even at 35, I was dancing with guys who were maybe 16, 17, 20. And the mentality is just different, you know. I mean, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you look at others, the way that you handle others, the way that you communicate with others, those things were not apparent as much. And so I had, like I said, I had a hard time being myself.
Right.
And just being 30 or 35 or 40, whatever it may be, your mentality is just different.
And then still beefing, like you don't have time for that in that regard.
No, of course not. Because for me, it really was a dance, and it was more of a way to socialize.
Right.
And with the people that I was socializing, it was also a way for me to excel in the dance.
Because it's also the part that I know more about your background story, and you work in a hospital, you have a family, and dance is something that you're just really, really passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you don't really want to make time for that, what is going on when it comes to beefing and stuff. And
no, and I mean, like, don't get me wrong, you know, there is a part of krump that involves clashing.
Right.
But that for me is on the dance floor. And whatever happens on the dance floor for me is whatever happens on the dance floor. And then you pack it up and you go.
Because speaking of dance floor, I want to get into the video that you find you're really strong in when it comes to your dancing. At that moment of time, how do you go through your process of krumping? Like this, for instance, is one of the best videos that you find of yourself dancing.
Yeah. I think it's... Like right now within my krump, I really feel I've found a place within krump and within myself that I'm really comfortable with.
Right.
And so I'm not worried about other things. I'm not worried about other people. I'm really just enjoying and being able to like be the best I can be without any barricades and so forth. I really feel free in my dance, and it shows, you know, the way I like to express myself.
And also with just the Tchozn fam in general, what do you think is very dominant in the fam when it comes to our dance styles or personality, or what do you...
Well, I mean the Tchozn fam, Tchozn was given, Tchozn, I mean, you know, in fams you always have a name, and sometimes the name may mean something, sometimes the name may not. It just sounds cool, and people are like, I just want that name.
Right.
For me, Tchozn was a name that was given to me through salsa. When we were doing events and so forth, usually the best team would go at the end. And at one point, there was a big event that I was doing, I believe in the UK, and someone came up to me and asked me if I was ready. You know, you ready? And I used to listen to a lot of hip hop, so I was talking that hip hop jazz. I was like, yeah, bro, you know, I'm gonna rip this, you know, blah blah blah. And he was like, yeah, I know you will, because you're the chosen one. And after that, people just started calling me Tchozn.
Right.
But
interesting.
But the word chosen, I mean, even if you look at the word chosen one, you know, it has to do with the selection of people who really make a difference.
Right.
You know, or who really have a specific way of carrying themselves, an attitude that, for me in general, is a positive attitude or a positive way of being.
Which does lead me to one of our most popular princess in the family. I want to take you to that clip. She's right here behind us, and she's really, really good. Could you explain a little bit about how you met her and what she's doing now for the fam.
Yeah, Princess Tchozn is just crazy. She's 10 years old. When I first met her, she actually she could not speak English, actually. And I was communicating with her parents, and they were translating, and there were a few people around me also who were helping out. But the first time I saw her, I believe was a few years ago, and that was SDK. She was in Poland, and for me, I'm someone who's always been into teaching kids, bringing kids to a level of whatever they're doing, and accomplishing stuff, you know?
Right.
So for me, when I first saw her, I was like, wow, this, you know what? She has potential. I mean, she already had her little thing when I first met her, you know?
Right.
So I spoke with her parents, communicated with her parents, and after that, we just started labbing together, Skyping together with labs and so forth, and it just grew and grew into something that is quite unbelievable, and in terms of her accomplishments and so forth.
Because a lot of people think that you took her under your wing just as she's about to grow into this stardom. So do you want to clear that up? Like, what is your mentality behind that?
Yeah, you know, it's really easy to talk about. It's really easy, I find, for people to talk about what is or what could have happened, or what you don't know what she would have done. You don't know if she would have gotten to where she is now,
right,
without me, or you know, you just cannot say. My goal was to make sure that what she was doing and what she wanted to accomplish would happen.
Right.
That's the only goal that I have. And I'm not worried about people, you know, saying this or that. But one thing I know is that the work that her and I have put in, and the time, the hours, the
right.
sweat, you know, even going into, you know, me learning a little bit of Polish. I mean, I'm not so good. It's like the hardest language in the world. But her learning English, her English is more fluent now. You know,
right.
when I met her, she could not speak. All these things that we worked on together, and then her becoming a 2-time world champion for EBS.
Which
you know?
I'm very proud of. But
Yeah,
absolutely. I do agree with the part that I think it also has to do with the fact that you are already a parent, and that you know how to co-parent, or at least raise a child to bring out the best of themselves without it getting in the way of their childhood.
Absolutely. Kids should always still be kids until they're not kids anymore. And, you know, people usually make that mistake. You know, for me, I also have Missy Tchozn, which is just an amazing, amazing kid as well. And she's also 10 years old. I don't know what's up with these 10-year-olds, right? But she's also 10 years old, and she started off really like at a beginner's level, you know. But then came and took a workshop with me when I was in the UK, and from that day I said to myself, you know what? I would love to have this girl on my fam. I would love to teach her and bring her up into a world of accomplishment that I know I can help her with. And I mean, you know, for me, parents are the most important part
True.
of this type of communication,
True.
especially with kids. So I, you know, started communicating with her parents, and now she's
she is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, she's really,
and she has such a sweet character.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
she's
want
great.
to highlight the fact that you do travel for your little homies a lot. You go to England, you go to Poland. And you do invest in us, because I'm also a little homie. But it is indeed, that is what a lot of people tend to underestimate. You try traveling from country to country just to train your little homie, just spend time with them and the family, of course, because that's what you usually do with these youngsters.
Absolutely.
You know?
I mean, the best thing for you to do. I mean, look, even for myself, the best way to understand a child is to communicate with the person who is around them the most,
right?
And who they actually feel the most comfortable around, and that's their parents,
right?
And I mean, there were times with Missy when I first met her. She would get into a specific mood, and I really would not understand. But I went to the parents because they understand her,
right?
And had me or helped me understand what she was going through, and then I can deal with the situation.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, this is, I think this is just in general, you know, in general, you need to be able to communicate with kids, and that may not always be directly to them.